Jimmy Butler and Spoelstra, by the way, I love Spoelstra, and he's feisty, and he's one of the few coaches that'll get in his players' faces, and I love that about him. And Jimmy Butler's a live wire, and going at it the other night. What's your takeaway? Bad, good, indifferent? Where do you land?
Well, I think it's more about Jimmy Butler before we have an answer to it, right? Because Jimmy Butler's career is 10 years of conflict. He was in Chicago, and he didn't get treated all that great in the beginning. He gets his money. I mean, he's a completely unproven guy, and then it becomes his team, and Derrick Rose wants it to be his team again, and then Jimmy Butler doesn't like that. I'd side with Jimmy Butler. Jimmy Butler goes to Minnesota. He's like, you know what? These other two young guys, I can't figure it out. I'm the best player. I'm the toughest player. I want more money. That was a conflict, and I actually kind of agree with Jimmy Butler on that one. He goes to Philadelphia, and he's like, what is going on with this place? I'm supposed to now be the lead dog, but the franchise is built around these other guys. I understood his point on that one. But when you finally get your own team, after working your way out of three previous ones, and you're going to mess with a guy like Spoelstra, that's where I'm going to have a hard time siding with you. Now, look, maybe this is just a blip and a frustrating night because they're getting smoked by a Warriors team that was missing its best players, and this won't matter. But if the Heat lose in the playoffs, because every time I look at the standings, Colin, I'll be like, that's right, they're still the one seed. And as much as I love their defense, and I love that I kind of know who they are, which is what I really look forward to in basketball teams to get ready for the playoffs. If the Heat loses the playoffs, it's probably going to be because another team has a ceiling that we haven't seen during the regular season. I don't think it's going to be the Butler conflict.
Yeah, good take. The other thing I wanted to ask you about, which came out this week, I didn't make much of it, the Zion video. You know, you've been rehabbing for a while in Nike, Beaverton, Oregon, whatever. What did you make of the video? Does it mean anything? Usually stuff gets out, Ryen, when somebody wants it out. It may have been he and his agent. It may have been the Pelicans. What did you make of the video?
Well, he definitely wanted it out, okay? And if you look at the timeline of Zion this season, it's impossible. Like, I'm glad I haven't said stuff as I've heard it, because it would immediately 2 weeks be wrong, because it would be like, oh, you know what? Zion's not playing this year. But like, that's weird. Like, what's going on? Oh, second opinion, shutting it down. You know, he's unhappy. Okay, all right, fine. Heard that before with the NBA. It's the new NBA that we're in. And then it's like, no, actually, he's in pretty good shape. He's going to come back and play. And I was like, oh, that's cool. I had heard a couple weeks ago he was 2 weeks away. And then 2 weeks later, it was like, nah, he's done. So here's the point. I don't know that anybody knows. I think the communication has always been a massive problem, as CJ McCollum even alluded to during All-Star break, when he I think, strategically points out as he gets traded there, like, I haven't talked to the guy. I think that got repaired a little bit. But if Zion wants this out, and it's like, okay, so wait, are you trying to prove to us that you're actually awesome and ready to go, but yet still don't want to play? So this is somebody that, honestly, his number one priority is that rookie extension. He may not like it in New Orleans, but he's going to have to figure out a way to take that rookie extension there. And the only way that's going to happen is him getting back out in the court and playing. And I still don't know when that's going to happen. So I actually thought it was a bad look, even though it was impressive.
So I got to ask you, I want to shift here a little bit to college basketball, because the Duke ratings over the weekend were great. They'll be great last night. So listen, we like this one and done stuff. It's fun. It's the basketball and the officiating quality can be lacking, but listen, man, they need so many officials. There's just not that many great officials in the world. But Gonzaga's fascinating, and I'm going to get into him later. But they have a player, Chet Holmgren, and he's really tall and really Holmgren, and he's tall and he's
Chad's not on anybody's board.
Yeah, the Peel bailed on him months ago. So this kid can shoot a three. He's big. He can put it on the deck a little. He's enormous. He's rail thin. And I watch him, and I'm like, yeah, he needs another year of college, but nobody does that, so he's probably going to the pros. And I don't know what to make of him as a pro. I don't even know what to make of him. 20 pounds, he should put on 40. What do your NBA sources say on this kid? Because I can't figure out what he is in the pros.
Look, if you watched Chet Holmgren last night for the first time, you're turning to your buddy after 20 minutes on the couch going, this guy's supposed to go number one. And I totally get it. But the people that have watched him throughout high school in the international showcase stuff, all right, and that have watched him for a full season, okay, he's a really incredibly skilled player with an amazing ceiling. Because it's not that he's 7 feet and he's going to play one specific position. It's that he's been incredible all season off the basketball, his movement, his impact, his shooting, his passing, his handle. There's like, I know everybody loves to think that everybody's stupid that's drafting, whether it's a mock draft guy or every single GM, but it's just not true. There are real basketball projections of him, of why teams, back to your question, why teams still have him in the mix as the number one overall guy. But what happens is never underestimate the will to survive as a front office executive. Because if you're a GM sitting there with that number one pick and you project Chet to be this unbelievably skilled player, you probably go, you know what, though? If he busts, I'm fired, because everybody's going to point back to that game in the tournament where they lost to Arkansas.
Right.
So I'll just take Jabari Smith.
Yeah, I had a GM tell me this years ago, if you're tied with an international player and a kid that crushed in March Madness, take the kid that crushed in March Madness, because the owner watched him. And if he becomes good and the international guy you drafted busts, you'll get fired. So to your point, that's a game within the game. So it's Chet Holmgren. I don't know what to make of him. I will say this: as I watched the game, I don't know what to make of him, but I watched the highlights. His YouTube page is going to be great, because at his best, he does great things. Now, I said this tournament's got no great team. So when I look at Krzyzewski, my takeaway is, and Ian O'Connor's book on him is fascinating. He's a lot, he's a lot. Mike's intense, battle-tested. And I watched Duke last night, and I said, they're going to win this thing. They're going to win. I mean, if I said to you, I don't know who Mike Krzyzewski is. The dude's been winning since the early 90s. What is Mike Krzyzewski to you? What stands out to you?
He's the last guy that's ever going to do it at this level for this long. I mean, he's it. After him, we're never going to have another guy have this kind of run. I mean, I remember going back to that Kansas Final Four with Duke. Like this goes back to the mid 80s when I first started watching it. And like a lot of guys, because I was a huge Big East guy, yeah. I hated him like everybody else hated him. I hated the Leitner. I hated when they beat UConn more than when they beat Kentucky. But you know what? You start working in the business, you start meeting a bunch of the alums, guys that played for him, the way they talk about him, then you lucky enough, like you have had him on the show. I mean, it goes away because you have to respect this so much. All right. It's absurd what this man has pulled off, and also how he had to evolve his own. Like, remember one and dones? It was like, yeah, we're not doing that at Duke. And it's like, hey, do you want to keep winning championships? Right. So, credit to him for not being, at the time back then, it was still some sort of debate on whether or not you wanted those kind of guys on your campus. So the brand to be this powerful for 3+ decades in a sport where the target is usually moving quite a bit. No one's ever going to do this kind of thing again. We're just never going to see it again. So I ended up going from somebody who hated all of it to respecting the hell out of it.
Oh, that's great. Ryen Russillo joining me, the Ringer. I got about a minute left. Tyreek Hill to the Dolphins, leaves the Chiefs. What was your big take on that?
Look, average to below average quarterbacks need playmakers. Great quarterbacks will figure it out. And so I get the scheme and the tilting of the field and opening up everything, and then defenses changing their coverage so they leave stuff underneath. So now is that taken away? It's Patrick Mahomes. All right. Like this flirtation with trying to doubt this guy is not only absurd, but it's entertaining to me. Like it's the way we are in this business where you're like, hey, are we pretty sure this guy's the best? It's like, I don't know. Did you see what Herbert did last week? What about if Josh Allen? Those guys are awesome. But I still don't put anybody over Mahomes, and I still think the way this front office has kind of just cycled the talent around him in different positions on the field throughout this still very short run, I'm not remotely worried about the Chiefs. I'm just not. It's a nice weapon, but if that weapon wants like max money at the receiver position when other players have taken slightly lesser deals, Mahomes' deal is a team-friendly deal. I know the headlines. Everybody lost their minds. You broke down the numbers. You went, he could have gotten more, especially with the new TV deal coming. That's going to be an incredible deal. They're going to have to redo that deal. So when it comes to the great quarterbacks, I don't worry about the weapons because I saw it firsthand with Brady for 20 years.
I don't know. I did a Herbert's better than Mahomes topic once. You should have
listened. I did. I know. That's actually what I was talking about.
Yeah, you kind of took a shot at me right there.
I did.
Cowherd. Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.